I'm only talking numbers because I incrementally got there.
Yeah.
I wish I would have started earlier. Man, I would have been way light years ahead of where I am right now.
Hello, world, and welcome back to the Millennial Outliers podcast. I'm your host, Justin Deal, with my co-host, Tyler Ardron. What's up, Ty Guy?
Yo, what's going on, brother?
Not too much. So we have another special guest for you today and a great episode ahead. So this person has been a good friend of mine for a while, and I've always really admired a lot of the things he's doing as a family man, as an entrepreneur, just a contributing member of society. Owns a few different businesses, does a lot of really good content. He's constantly educating people, and especially in a market we'll jump into that people constantly have questions about. So we're going to dive into quite a few things, but without further ado, our good friend Matt Boyce.
What's
Matty,
up,
good
fellas?
to be here, brother.
Yeah, this is great.
So happy to have you.
I don't know. As soon as you said contributing member of society, I
I
thought I was
shrug.
in the wrong room. I'm sorry.
Nah, you do so many great things, though, especially with the education side, which we'll jump into in a minute, because your content's definitely, I always tell you, I think I only know things that are going on in the mortgage world, which I didn't say yet. Maximus Mortgage is his company right now. Advisors, I believe
Maximus Mortgage Advisors. Yeah,
Yeah,
got to throw the advisors.
It definitely
It makes it sound way more official.
Yeah, that's like, I think, perfect IQ when you say advisors on there. I'm like, geniuses.
And by the way, is that why you always have an incorrect view of what's going on in real estate? Because you listen to me?
It might be. It might be why I just keep jumping into things. I'm like, I thought that's
This
what Matt
market's hot
said.
right
Is
now.
that not? He said guaranteed. Yeah. But let's jump in. Let's go back a little bit. We always love to talk about kind of the upbringing, lessons you've learned from your parents, what that childhood was like. So tell us a little bit about young Matty.
Well, it's really weird because I could walk to where I grew up. For the most part, we're in Mount Laurel now on Arc Road 38. My mom and dad split when I was young, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we were living in an attic in Haddon Heights when after the divorce. Anyone that's been divorced knows, especially single mothers, single fathers, you just know the finances are tight. And so we were making do. My mom was a teacher. So when you're a new teacher, again, don't have to tell you guys that you know that the salary's not there.
Yeah.
So we lived in an attic in Haddon Heights. Then quickly she moved up, and we were able to buy our first condo around the corner here. So it was a tough upbringing because when your parents are split, you're it's just a tough spot to be in the middle. But I will say that I probably need therapy, but it's at some point
We're going to do it right now.
Yeah.
Let's uncover this.
free therapy.
Yeah.
But the two of them really didn't speak, and my mom. Then I would go visit my dad. I'd stay with my mom, and then my mom would always have a message to my dad, and then it would never be really in the best way you could say it. If I would have told my dad what she really wanted me to tell him, things would have been World War III.
Mm-hmm.
So then I'd tell him, I'd sugarcoat it, and I'd make it sound, palatable, So then he goes, "Oh, okay, I'll consider that, Matt. Tell your mom."
Oh man.
And then,
And you learned how to fluff communication at a very young age, huh? Yeah.
I was
Sheesh.
like, I guess before email, so they didn't want to talk on the phone. So the upbringing really was of me just trying to figure things out in between two parents, trying to figure out communication and being the one to kind of calm the waters. I think that contributed to me the sales part of things and then also we were really poor. So when you're poor, you tend to try to figure out ways to not be poor.
Yep.
And so when I was real young, I started a DJ company, and my mom's Jewish, my father's not, so I had the Jewish community, down.
Bar mitzvahs,
We had some
attaboy.
DJ Matty B.
Yeah.
DJ Matty B. We had bar mitzvahs, and then we really, I just had a really. I looked at it at the time as this is hard, and now that I look back on it, like so many successful entrepreneurs and business people now, that hardship made them what they are today.
Absolutely.
And I don't take anything for granted, and I worked my ass off to be where I am now, and the journey. If you listen to the Ed Milet's out there, the journey is the beauty of it. That's the part we all all live for. It's not the destination, it's the journey.
That's like the dash, right? That's what it's all about on the tombstone.
That's right.
So would it be safe to say with kind of your upbringing that, you know, you and your wife seem to have an amazing relationship? Did you kind of learn a lot of the things you didn't want in a partner?
Hold on, let me get the piece of paper she wrote on things I'm allowed to say about her. Hold on. You know, I was an only child. She had a sister. She grew up in Pennsylvania. I actually got a Pennsylvania girl to come over to Jersey.
Wow,
which
that's
is
like
like
rare.
unheard of.
My brother
Unheard.
just did that recently.
Wow.
Yeah,
They were living in PA and they finally moved back.
I think it's an oath they take in PA.
Yeah.
Of you'll never
She was like
live in
against
New
Jersey people.
Yeah,
Oh, they
of
always
course.
I was
are.
like, what?
Yeah, always
But
are.
to be fair, she was in York County, and the
Yeah.
closest shopping center,
Yeah.
I think, was like an hour and a half drive. So coming
Any
out here,
civilization.
yeah. And then her only stipulation was, "Hey Matt, listen, I love you, and if we're gonna move out here, can you just do me a favor? I just don't like a ton of trees. Can we not be in a place where there's trees?" And we live in Medford, New Jersey now. So she's surrounded, but she's still.
Yeah.
You cleared a lot of trees out for her on the property, though.
I
right?
did
It's
very
like-
legally,
Very
Medford.
legal.
I swear, I
Permits were
that's true.
taken.
You guys are all like protected land there, right? With all
Oh,
the,
yeah,
the
yeah.
lakes. And the, yeah.
they're not happy when a tree falls.
Yeah.
So
So okay. So from there, so how did you get into like just entrepreneurship, business? What did that road look like for you?
So again, we go back to being poor, and I wanted a car,
Mhm.
and I needed to pay for that car. Well, I started delivering pizza, and then I was a bus boy, I was a waiter. I think a lot of people were working.
Oh yeah, it's
at
one of the
Lim-
best the skill sets you
Yeah.
learn from doing that.
and I liked the tip action. I liked all that, but I noticed that it just wasn't giving me the money, and it was more time. And I just started valuing my time.
Mm.
So I was the vice president of student council at Lenape High School, and I was in charge of booking the DJ. And so I was behind the scenes helping them DJ, just messing around. And one of my favorite songs is Rapper's Delight.
Oh yeah.
So I requested it, and he goes, well, if you want to have fun, here's the mic. And so I got up, and I'd all 100 kids, however many were there, and I did the whole.
I said it hit hop. it
Well,
hit
no,
it,
you
it
got to
hit it,
you got to warm them up first. So we go, everybody, put your hands up, put your hands up,
Oh,
and then
let's
you
go.
got everyone into it, and then you go
And then
into
he
the.
blast
Okay.
it.
Then you're at, and so when I was done, he looked at me. He goes, "Yeah, you're going to work with me." And not long after, I bought my own. Again, you're working for someone, and I started noticing again, like everyone is requesting me. Why are you making money on my requests?
Mhm.
And love the guy a lot. Still talk to him to this day. But I took a credit card out, spent $5,000 on equipment, took a risk,
Mhm.
and went out there and started my own company. And I ended up with 2 sets of additional equipment. I had people working for me, and actually put myself through college owning a DJ company. And
Love that.
That's
and
awesome.
actually, I graduated. I was a few credits short, and they said, "Well, you need to do an internship." And I said, "Well, can I do an internship within
Within
my
your
own
company?"
company?"
Yeah.
And they said, "I guess you could." So I ended up.
I've been interning for however many years.
Yeah, right.
So it just that ended up being. It gave me the bug of I just feel like owning your own business, whether it's a side gig, it's your full gig, the amount of time you put into it, you get back exponentially.
Yeah.
So again, valuing your time. So if I'm working for a company and I'm putting all this time and blood, sweat, and tears and effort and time away from my family to invest into this, I better see a return on that.
Mhm.
And I just felt like owning my own thing and doing my own thing, that I think that was the best investment of my time.
Yeah, I love that you saw that student council. I was in that as well. Shout out to all the student council folks out there. But you saw a need, and you were like, I could help with this. I could plug that. And then you grew your value, your expertise in that. And you definitely have one of those personalities. That's what I've always admired about you. You have great presence. You're a very good communicator. And I could see how the DJ stuff just made sense. But taking a calculated risk nonetheless, right? Like you were like, okay, I see this guy's booking stuff. There's another opportunity here. There's a need I can fulfill. Why can I not make that money?
Yeah.
And that's,
you had to take that risk.
yeah. But it was calculated. You
Yeah.
didn't just like go all like, I'm just going to spend $50,000 on DJ equipment,
Right,
get the
right,
best of the best, and not have any bookings lined up. Like you did some research, you kind of did the foundational work to build something of substance rather than just, it was more than a side gig, I guess is what I'm trying to say. You treated it more as a business from the jump rather than like, oh, I'm only going to invest 2 hours a week in it, here and there.
Yeah, it was just a commitment.
Yeah.
That's what it was. And I just think that there's a lot of people now that I see out there, and look, I'm in real estate, so it's easy for me to fall back on that with mortgage and real estate. But there's a lot of people out there that, even not in real estate, that think that an entrepreneur is this thing that they'll never be able to attain. It's this weird, person that sits around, like works out of their car, just, is always broke. And then all of a sudden they're rich and then they're broke again, which, hey, that is the case sometimes. But I think that what it really comes down to is branding. And I, again, go back to Ed Milet. I think one of his most recent episodes, he had a woman on and they were talking about branding for everybody. Whether you're a single mom or you work for someone, just to create a brand, because nowadays everything's online. Everything is researched. If I'm gonna, I think the example they use, if my child is going to go to a private school or I'm going to go to an employer and interview, and then they come back and they want to research me and they want to look me up, which they all do. I know I do. When I meet new people, immediately I'm going on, and I don't just go to their Facebook or Twitter. I go way back. I immediately go, I don't want to see.
What's the first picture they posted?
Right,
I don't want to see the you now. I want to see the you like shit-faced at State College or down at the OD and CI. I want to see like the real you.
Who you are.
Who you are. And I know that's what they do. So think about if you're someone who just wants to have a good public image and you want to open up doors in the future, whether it is being an entrepreneur, whether it's just leapfrogging in your industry and going to another career, how are people going to know you if they don't know you? How are those doors going to open if you don't put yourself out there? So I think that's been my biggest thing. Now I sit down with dozens and dozens of agents, again, because I'm in real estate or mortgage partner with real estate agents, and they all say, I need more leads and I need more people. Again, shout out to another great person out there. If you're in sales, Alex Ramosi. Alex has a book, $100 Million Leads. Great book because he simplifies it. I'm like, finally, a book that's, big with pictures in it and, something that I'm not going to fall asleep reading. And it's just a matter of getting in front of as many people as possible. So the whole entrepreneur thing morphed into just creating a brand for myself and then creating a brand around that, an umbrella brand that I could now duplicate what I've done for other people. So people that want to be a part of Maximus, it's not like I'm working for Matt Boyce. Sorry, Matthew. We're going by Matthew.
We're proper here.
Yeah. As soon as I hit 40 years
Very
old,
distinguished.
I think I need to go by Matthew. It was usually just when I was in trouble, but now I'm Matthew. So if I still think that people in all walks of life that want to be successful, that and want to move up in any career or be an entrepreneur, just has to work on that, the branding and the advertising for themselves. And if they don't get in front of people, the opportunities won't be there.
Absolutely. And especially, like you said, for the job market, right? Like so you've gone through some rebrands in different companies, but it's when everybody knows Matthew Boyce and you're the guy we like, know, and trust, it really doesn't matter what you're attached to because you're what we're really buying.
Nobody cares.
Nobody,
Nobody cares about the company. I just thought Maximus was cool because I got to buy Gladiator gear.
helmet.
Yeah. I wanted my first son. Always said that the whole Maximus Decimus Meridius. My wife was like, absolutely. So we can all tell who won that battle.
In fact, shout out to Matthew Brady, another Matthew. I'm just going to surround myself by Matthews. New recruit onto the Maximus team, came in bearing gifts. He brought me an actual sword.
Wow.
An actual gladiator sword.
That's legit.
And I thought it was like, well, this is it. He's just going to murder me. He's just not happy with the comp agreement I gave. But no, again, the brand, nobody cares about the company. Everyone, Payday's a great company. You're there because you respect them and what they bring to you. And as long as my value or my thing is, if you're making money on me, let's break it down. If you're going to make money off my efforts, I'm investing my time into you, whether I'm an agent at a brokerage or I'm working at Payday, I don't know where you.
Risk reduction.
Yes. Then then I want to make sure you're in it with me.
Yep.
If you're helping me grow and you're backing me up, then we're all in it together. We're real partners here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care if I'm your employee and you're no, we're partners, because like you said, if you have a brand, you have a name in an industry, it gives you power and leverage, right?
Mm-hmm.
You can kind of do whatever you want to a certain extent.
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. You got to sell yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Yes,
Always thing.
So take us a little more through the evolution of how DJ Matty B became, the entrepreneur you are today with, real estate, with a cigar lounge, with a mortgage company. I'm sure you're doing other things that I don't even know, but those are just the ones off the top. So how did getting into mortgage? Let's just start there.
I got to tell you, this story, I still have nightmares about this. So I was doing well with DJing in college. Again, I only had to work weekends,
Mm-hmm.
and most of those parties were frats and sororities and weddings and bar mitzvahs. I was partying, having a great time, and during the week, I didn't have to do anything. Money was good. I was making probably $30,000, $40,000 a year, mostly cash, in the senior year in college.
Love that.
And so coming out of that, I thought I was rich. I went out and bought a hot car, a G35 Infinity Coupe.
Oh,
Remember
those were
those?
popular. Those were
back then,
popular.
too.
I had
You
the
had the blowout.
Tinted. It was tinted too.
Of course it was
It was tinted.
Of
Dude, those
course.
things were everywhere.
6-speed.
Yeah.
And of course, here I am, this loser with this hot car living with my mom. And, I just thought, this is great. I'm living life. So a buddy of mine at the time started working for a company called AmeriQuest Mortgage. And they were huge at the time. They had their own stadium in Texas. So that's how big of a mortgage company they were. And he calls me up and he goes, hey, Matt, yeah, how's DJing going? I go, oh, man, it's amazing. I'm making a few grand a month, and I'm probably, I'm going to expand at all these, grandeurs or, feelings of grandeur. And then he said, well, I made 20 grand last month. I go, no, you didn't. So I drove over. I didn't believe him. I drove over there to show me his paycheck. And it was kind of like that Wolf of Wall Street moment.
That's exactly.
What do you want me to do? I'll
You
quit
show
right
me
now.
a check stub, I work for you.
And I said, well, I've never felt more inadequate in my life. I go, holy crap. And
It's a lot of DJ gigs.
a lot of DJ gigs. And I'm going, man, I go, okay, I'll do both. So I went in, I interviewed, I got this job. I was driving from Mount Laurel to King of Prussia
Wow.
every day down the Schuylkill in my G35 coupe. And at the time, I'm sorry, I was in a 93 Jeep Grand Cherokee. So yeah, we weren't quite there yet.
Yeah.
And so I started doing it. Within 2 months, I just pounded the phones. I had a knack at selling. And within 2 months, I was the top salesman at this AmeriQuest King of Prussia branch. And I was making good 20, whatever, I was making that kind of money, which hence the G35 coupe.
Yeah.
So I remember it was like 7, 8 o'clock at night. I was working late. I'm pounding the phones. I'm stressed out, but it's good stress. And all of a sudden I got a call from the head of student council from Cherokee High School. And she was such a sweet woman. She said, hey, Matt, how you doing? I go, I'm good. How you doing? What's going on? She goes, well, I'm just standing here looking at all the students and we're just wondering where you are.
No. You're supposed to speak or something.
I go, what do you, I have to DJ a dance.
Oh.
And I totally
That's
forgot
when it was
about
crossed over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I totally forgot about it. And
That's
Is this like a
brutal.
prom?
no, thank God.
Oh,
Like
gosh.
a cotillion or like
Yeah,
one of the,
can you imagine? No, it was a student
Just-
council dance.
Okay.
But still, there were 100 kids there or whatever
Oh.
it was, and they had to get up there and cancel the dance. And I just said, you know what?
You can't do both.
Can't do both. So I quit. I actually sold the DJ company to a friend of mine named Frank Catcherbone, Center Stage Entertainment, and he's still around today. They're great. And Frank, I want a residual on that plug, by the way. And they took over, and I committed 100%
That's awesome.
at that point. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
So I know that was big, the the big shop mortgages, call centers, stuff like that. Now, we're in a different environment. When did you make the switch to the brokerage side and working more alongside, realtors and referrals as opposed to going direct, to the consumer?
Yeah, so it evolved where at first I was all calling leads, lead, because I didn't know anybody. And then I actually did work for a brokerage on Delaware Ave And funny enough, right by Club Egypt,
Oh,
Club
yeah,
Shampoo.
yeah. Oh,
Shampoo.
yeah.
Remember those?
May or may not have stumbled in and out there once or twice.
So
yeah.
I may or may not have frequented that place a little too. Tiki Bob's. Remember all those?
Oh man, we're showing our age.
Oh yeah. Well, it's Millennial Outlier.
That's
You know,
true.
Yeah.
I
It's
am
true, a little
technically the
nostalgia.
It's in
first.
the title.
The first year of Millennial.
Yeah, you're the elder millennial.
1980.
Right? A little respect on that. That's why you're Matthew.
Yeah, right. Exactly. This old guy. So I did work. Look, the mortgage world is just so weird. You just have to be fluid, and you have to move to where you're going to best serve your clients. And for me, I started getting into realtors. The guy that ran the place at the time taught me how residual. Let's talk about residual. Everything I do, I try to have a residual. And I interned at a place called Northwestern Mutual when I was at Rider University. That's where I went to college. And the guy at the time, Joe Savino in Princeton, put his arm around me and said, Matt, this is a get rich slow scheme. So by the time you're 40, you're going to be rich. And I looked at him, I go, 40? Can I curse?
But then it just keeps pouring. Yeah.
Fuck you, 40.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? You know how old that is? I live with my mom. I'm a loser. I want to be in the VIP section of the clubs and buying some bottles, and actually that was probably true. But I said this sucks. But the point was residual.
Yep.
As a financial advisor, every deal, all the money you bring in, you're managing, all these policies you're doing, you get a residual every year. So yes, by the time you're 40, 50, it's like a base salary. You can technically retire. But the only residual in my business, I would argue, would be the relationships you develop.
Sure.
If you do a refinance, which that's what most mortgage people have been living off of for the last decade, low rates. Hey, where are you? Oh, you're at 4.5. I'll bring you to 3.5. And then, I'll take you to 2.5. That's how they were surviving.
Yeah.
Well, what's your residual on that? Really nothing, because once you
dried
get
up now.
Yeah, well, now they're in trouble.
Yeah.
So for me, I go, you know what? This is pretty cool. If I learn how to network and just go out there and meet people in my world and develop these partnerships, which then turn into friendships.
Yep.
Man, this could be a longevity thing for me. And so for almost 20 years now, I've been just trying to develop long-standing relationships, mostly with real estate agents and a few attorneys and builders and stuff like that, but mostly agents. And now, I mean, the seeds I planted 10 years, 15 years ago, a lot of those agents are some of the top agents in the industry right now. So we're just connected, and it doesn't matter how many other mortgage people say, hey, do you want to get coffee? Hey, can I pay for this? Hey, do you want to do this? You want to do that? We have a thing, and we're loyal to each other.
Yeah. Yeah, and like you said with residuals, I mean, there's nothing better. I'm in insurance myself, so like you said, the first now it's good. The first 2-3 years, you're getting peanuts on policies, but that book of business grows and grows and grows, and then it's just, to your point, coming in.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm all for residual income.
Now with mortgage stuff in general, why don't you give maybe a few myths that debunk you could talk about, and then for like the first time home buyer, I know you always have a lot of different programs and things that you guys are talking about on educate the masses a little bit on kind of what's going on in the industry.
Yeah, myths, and I'm going to try to be really concise here because we can spend hours on this subject. But number one, people start too late. They start their actual research too late. They go on Google University. They're really quick to do that and read and go on TikTok and go, but they're not getting real information. You don't get the information you actually need to buy until you go through the pre-approval process.
Yeah.
End of story. Now, it's just so funny. Everyone has an excuse. Well, I'm not starting because of this and this, but the biggest excuse is I don't want people to run my credit. Like somehow it got leaked out somewhere along the way where now people think, well, don't worry about being late on things or maxing out this account or this account. Somehow when I get my credit run, that's going to destroy my credit score. And it couldn't be further from the truth. But to not even have the argument, we also started adopting soft credit pulls, which is the same thing as you going to Credit Karma or your credit cards. They're all doing the same thing. Okay. So it has zero impact. So let's take that out of the equation. Now there's no excuse to not get started. So you need to know, and here's the other myth. The myth is I'm going to care about the purchase price and the interest rate. And I don't know if it's a myth or just the wrong way of thinking. You just have to focus more on your payment, because that's really what it comes down to. What's my payment? How much money out of pocket do I have to stroke a check for at the end of the day? That's it. There's only two numbers: payment, stroke a check, cash out of pocket. So if you sit down, you do your actual budget, and let me give you guys, I mean, I'm just going to throw up here on this mic, but that's gross. But I wanted to really give people things to think about. Look, you could pull your free annual credit report.com, or do it at Credit Karma, whatever. Yeah. Go through your accounts. You may have an account that your payment is $200-$300 a month, and you only owe $2,000-$3,000 on that account. Pay that off, or be aggressive at paying that off. For every $60 you save yourself a month, it increases your buying power to $10,000. So let's play a game. Let's play a game. How many things in your life, monthly that's coming out of your account, can you eliminate and then increase your buying power? So if you have things on your credit report that little accounts that don't have a big balance, get rid of them. If you're how many times a month or a week are you Grubhubbing or door dashing? Yeah. Right. And we all know it's great. Nothing better than just like a couple taps on your phone and you got food sitting on your doorstep. But again, like, let's be real. You want to buy a house, you got to make some sacrifices. Stop bitching about the rate when you're not willing to sacrifice things like
Starbucks
Starbucks. I mean, the list goes on and on about things that you're probably wasting your money on. Get one of those apps. I think I have Empower, Truebill. There's all these apps now that will tap in all your credit cards and your bank accounts.
Put it all in one.
Yeah. My wife does not like that I did that. And every month I'm like,
same.
She realized that Amazon list and that the credit card were linked to that.
I don't even know if she knows how to log into her credit card account. No, now she does, I think. But no, she's aware. She's very good with the money. I love you, Lisa.
I'm not going to talk on that subject.
I was saying, like, if Gina died, or if I died, Gina would have no idea. She's like, what are these accounts? How do I log in? I didn't know you had this many accounts.
I actually made a death file, a death drive.
Oh, wow.
And
password protected. Yeah. You can only enter.
Google, right. I have two things that need to happen. Hide the porn and
scrub the computer.
Wait, don't they have the death buddy? It's like, you're one boy who's like, if anything happens to you, he knows exactly where to go, what to delete, what to throw away.
Give this file.
The incriminating evidence. But I put it all together. It has all the logins, all what's going on with our life insurance, our trusts, everything she'll ever need to know to run the finances.
It's because you're the elder millennial.
You know things. Teaching us.
You know things, absolutely.
But getting back to what people need to realize is focus on the payment, go through the process, because if you're a year away, here's the worst thing you can do. If you're looking to buy and you're on the sideline now going, look, I'm in a good situation. I'm renting. It's not that much. I'm living with family. I'm saving money. I'm doing well. Well, what research are you really doing? You're looking at a bunch of houses online and maybe you have an agent sending you some properties too, but do you really know what the numbers look like on these properties? And so if you don't do the numbers now, you could be kind of shortchanging yourself. There could be programs out there, like we talked about, you said first-time homebuyer programs. New Jersey's giving away, quote unquote, $10,000 grants. Now, the stipulation is you got to live in the house 5 years. But then it's forgivable. And there are other programs out there that are going to make things a lot more affordable. So if we sit down, you get rid of all these things we talked about, you play that game, and now you go, all right, my payment, to a point where if it's $1 more, I might cry. But my actual max payment is X. I could back into your purchase price, more or less. Property taxes are the variable there.
Sure.
But if I do that, now all of a sudden, so many people focus on the payment or the purchase price. It goes, I can't go over $400,000. They'll call me and say, Matt, I want to go up to $400,000. You go, great. What does that mean? What's your payment? I don't know.
Yeah.
Well, who cares about that? Now, of course, that does dictate your down payment. You're going 3% down, 5%. Okay, I get all that. But in the end, you have X amount you're willing to part at the end of the day and stroke a check for, and you have your payment. That's it. Yeah. So do your research now, and we're going to tell you, all right, you're good for $500,000. Or we might say you're good for 800,000, but based on your payment budget, you want to stay at $500,000. Well, now you know.
Right.
You know you can go as high as 8, but you want to stay at 5. So another thing is take a risk. Like I took a risk on DJ Matty B. Take a risk on yourself and go, you know what? I'm 30, 35, whatever I am, average age of first-time home buyers 35 now. And I'm going to probably get promoted. I'm probably going to make more money. So maybe you got to go a little uncomfortable with that house. But I'm going to tell you, you're not going to be upset with yourself when in 3 years, 5 years, you have a kid or two, and now you have that extra space rather than I went lower because I was afraid and now I need to move again. Or, but worse yet, I can't afford to move it. I'm just so unhappy. So it's all of this can be remedied by just going through the process now.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So with the, with the changing environment, with rates, and I think they just came down last week or the week before or something, but with the rates and all that stuff, it is scaring people away, which, I agree with you. Just focus on your payment and how much is going out. And maybe rates come down, you can refi and save some money, but your payment, and as long as you match that, you're good. Who cares, like you said, about the purchase price and the interest rate? But it is scaring a lot of people away. What do you see? I know you put videos out on this and it's talked about all the time. What do you see though the next, 3-6 months into, next year?
I think we're going to be looking pretty good.
You think so? Yeah.
I think we started trending just over the past week. We've been waiting for the Fed to kind of wake up. I always say the Fed's like my grandmother. She always drove looking in the rearview mirror, just backing out. They focus on what's behind them, the data that's already happened, not on the forecasting. So they're very reactive. So I think finally they saw some things that said, okay, the economy's cooling off. We're going to cool off. That's what we were waiting for. So I think we're going to have a trend lower over the next several months. I don't think it's going to be lighting the world on fire, but I think it's going to make people feel a little bit more comfortable now listing their house, starting that process, getting pre-approved, looking to buy. Yeah. And I think this spring is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about what does that mean for someone that is sitting on right now. They could pull the trigger and buy a house, but they're waiting. I'm going to tell you, I'm going to go out on a limb and tell you, now's your opportunity. Now that the rates are still a little higher, real estate's cyclical. So right now in the winter, we always have inventory go up. There are houses that are sitting a lot longer. I talk to real estate agents all the time. I call them specifically to see what's going on. They're the boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So they're telling me for the first time ever, they're seeing houses sitting for 30 days, 60 days.
I have one sitting since first week of August.
Yeah, there you go.
Wow. This thing better freaking sell. This is bad.
I'm gonna make him a low ball off.
Yeah, exactly.
No,
Just throw one out there.
It's messed up, but no, I'm seeing it firsthand.
So let's talk about. I put a video out the other day. If you want to follow me, by the way, it's Matt Boyce on Instagram, Matthew Boyce on Facebook, it's Matt Boyce on TikTok. But if I put it out there to talk about buy downs, rate buy downs, because everyone wants to know about that too. And so think about this. If you go onto your realtor.coms and you search for reduced prices, you're going to find a bunch of properties that were reduced by 10 grand, 20 grand, 5 grand, whatever. Those are opportunities. Again, if you have a house sitting for 30 days, 60 days, since August, that's an opportunity. What can you do with that opportunity? Well, you can get the house for less. So if I get it for 10 grand less, it's going to save me $60 a month. Cool. Or I could get creative with it with now my mortgage company who pre-approved me several months ago, and we're all on the same page, right? So I can now buy that rate down. And in my video, I did a comparison of temporary buy downs versus permanent. Bottom line is, on a permanent buy down, I took the rate from 8% to 7.25% with 10 grand. That's how much it got me. And then I took on the temporary buy down, there's things called a 2-1 buy down, which basically taking your $10,000 credit that you would get from a seller and stretching it out over 2 years.
Okay.
So year one, you get, you're at 2% lower. So you're at 5.99.
Then it goes, it's like tiered kind of.
The next year you're a percent higher,
Right,
6.99,
right.
and then the third year you go to 7.99, 8%.
But hopefully by then rates come down and you can, I guess, refi out, right?
That's the thought.
Yeah.
And so I said in the video, go, look, if you're a believer rates are going to come down within 2 to 4 years, then you probably want to stick to the temporary.
Yeah.
Why are you going to blow 10 grand on a rate of 7.25 when in 6 months it could be 7.25 for free?
Right.
Or lower.
Right.
Then you're going to kick yourself going, well, shit, I don't want to refi. I invested all that money in my rate. I have to recoup. What's my ROI? What's the break even on that money? And in this case, it was like 49 months or 4 years.
I'm going to say you're going to wait years. Yeah.
So I'd have to wait 4 years to save back that $10,000 before I start saving money. Whereas with the temporary, I'm saving it right away. Or you could just have a $10,000 credit, keep the money, call it a day.
Right.
But the point is there's opportunity right now. If you wait and all of a sudden rates drop into the sixes again, they drop. And I saw Barbara Corcoran out of nowhere is having these viral videos.
I've been saying it. She's saying the market's going up 25% and crazy stuff.
I mean, personally, I don't know if she even knows what year it is, but her whole point is, she said, if you see a rate with a 5 in front of it, things are going to go nuts. Now, I don't think they're going to go nuts. I think that it will definitely light the market more on fire.
For sure.
So will prices go through the roof? She was saying, 15% appreciation. Maybe, but you got to remember, it's not like it's only buyers flooding the market. These buyers have to also sell a lot of them.
Right.
So I think we're going to
open up more.
Yeah, I think appreciation is going to definitely happen either way.
Yeah.
So if I bought now, I bought a $400,000 house now, and it appreciates 5% in 1 year, which is, by the way, the average, 50-year average.
25K, right?
20 grand.
20.
So next year, what's my house worth?
Right.
420.
Right.
And then that compounds. Now it's 5% on 420.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes up. So I'm just saying, I don't think everyone's waiting for a break. Everyone's just like, everything's so unaffordable. And I totally get it. But I'm just telling you, kind of like we talked about, unless you're branding yourself or you're getting yourself out there, who's going to know you exist? Unless you are prepared and you're out there looking at all homes and all areas that you're willing to live in, how do you know what exists?
Right.
So if you're not aggressive with your search, there could be a house that actually was perfect. I live in Medford. I call it the land of opportunity. There's not a lot of cookie cutter homes out there. A lot of custom. So I mean, I bought my first house there. I got for $399 this almost acre property with a pool, a gazebo, a tennis court. Although there was no tennis being played, more can jam and
that's awesome though.
But it was the greatest party house ever. We had a blast there, and we sold it before COVID. But it's a land of opportunity. I never would have known if I wasn't looking. Mm-hmm. So I think so many people are just giving up now, and they're not taking the proper steps to prepare themselves to pull the trigger.
Which, speaking of that, so I was very intrigued when you said 35 is the average first-time home buyer age.
Wow, I missed that. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's literally right in the middle of millennials.
Yeah.
So can you give that first-time home buyer, what are like, ideally, where should the credit range be? How much cash would you say people should have, savings? What do those couple steps look like? And then on the flip of that, what are like the 3 worst things they can do when they're applying for a mortgage? Like I think I know a few of them, but you're the expert. So like, what are the do not do this when we're going through between the application for the pre-approval and actually getting to the purchase?
Yeah, I mean, we can start with the what not to do part. I think that one, any big purchases at all, the cars are I don't have to tell a lot of people out there, a car payment now is crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
And listen, I'm friends with a lot of car dealer people saleswomen that are just really good at their job, and they're in sales. So it's their job. If you qualify, their conscience is clear.
Yeah.
I mean, all right, they make enough money. Yeah, but you just F them buying their house. So we had somebody come to us. He had a $1,300 Tesla payment. Now in that case, there is no salesperson.
Yeah.
That's just you clicking around. I'll add that and I'll add that. And, what's plaid mode?
Yeah, right.
She's gone to plaid. Again, dating myself. So the that's the worst thing you can do is overextend your credit. A lot of people, here's the other thing. When you start, I get it. Again, I was poor. So when I started making money, what did I do? I leveled up.
Yeah.
I started making a little bit more money. I leveled up, bought a nicer car. I made a little bit more. And all of a sudden, I'm a 30-year-old with like no savings, and I had no plan. And what am I going to do with real estate or what? Now, to be fair to myself, I went through a divorce. I had 08, 09 market crash, which pretty much was caused by me. And or I should say, people like me, they were giving out neg-am loans and crazy stuff.
Arms and all that.
I mean, 2-year fixed loans with a 3-year penalty.
Balloon payments and
balloon
stuff.
payments. I mean, we did everything. And it wasn't us, it was Wall Street.
Yeah.
But, it was, I'm saying that the worst thing you could do is keep leveling up to your income level. If you're doing well, small nuts, you know what I mean? Justin knows.
Yeah.
So small
I gotta
nut.
tell everybody, Matt.
small,
Not the listeners.
you have like 58 kids. You're doing okay. You're doing okay. I think just live it's not cool. It's not in style right now. Live within your means.
Yeah, stay in that lane, friends.
Don't level up.
Stay in that lane.
Yeah.
Don't level up. You're hearing it from me. All the books. Oh, level up. Don't level up. Don't do it because you're going to thank yourself later. Now, I'm not saying do the whole automatic millionaire. You ever read that book where it's like basically, live like you're a homeless person and one day you'll be a millionaire?
Yeah, drive like a 95 Toyota.
Yeah, right. Literally, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm saying there, everything in moderation. But I think that if you can do that and keep your expenses low, your debt ratios, which is what tells a mortgage company what you qualify for, your debt to income ratios will be in line to qualify and give you that flexibility.
Okay. And actually, can you just explain that a little bit? I hear that term all the time, but what exactly does the debt to income like? Is it as straightforward as it sounds, or is there other variables?
So all you do is you add up all your monthly expenses. Again, pull your credit report. We don't care about what your, how much it does cost a month to do your hair, or Justin, I know you're the spa time.
Of course.
There's a lot of things we don't see. We see what's on your credit report. Add all those monthly payments up, the minimum payments on those, and then you're gonna take that and add to it the proposed mortgage payment, and that includes your taxes, homeowners insurance, mortgage insurance, all that stuff. Again, get pre-approved. You'll know these numbers. Add everything up and divide it by your income. Now, here's a caveat: we take the gross income. So let's be real. We're taking gross, not net. You bring home net. That's what hits your account every pay period. We're taking what is before taxes. So that's how we're qualifying you. So rule of thumb is you want to stay around 35% of your income with your mortgage payment, and then you add in all the other expenses, and we'll allow up to 50%. FHA, which is a government-backed loan, will allow up to 57% of your income. Well, you're the person that knows every month what you really need. If you have daycare, we don't see that. If you have, if you have a drug habit, we don't see it. No, I'm, just saying. But you want to make sure.
Sorry, the weed expense can get a little crazy.
I mean, listen,
it's a legit bill.
There's dispensaries all over the place. I mean, it's hard not to drive by one now. Marlton is about to have like 5 of them open up within like a few miles of each other. But no, it's you just have to. That's how you calculate debt to income ratios, and that's what we use to qualify you.
Well, I didn't realize it was gross. I would have just thought it would only make sense that it would be based off the net of what you actually take home, not before Uncle Sam puts his hand in there. So that's very enlightening. Now let's talk about also kind of you've expanded quite a bit in business. As you mentioned, mortgages through the years have been very cyclical. So you've had some unbelievable years. You've probably had some years that have aged you a bit. But you've diversified. You've got into the real estate side of things. You opened up the cigar club. So, like, what was it in you that made you want to do that? And how did you kind of calculate that risk to pivot?
So that was a real estate play. If you want to be an investor, the best thing you could do is tell real estate agents you want to be an investor, because nothing motivates a motivated agent than knowing that you'll buy something. So if they have you on their buyer's list and they see an opportunity, they're going to let you know. A real estate agent friend let me know of an opportunity, me and a partner of mine, and said, hey, do you want to buy this thing? Now, at first I was against it. This is a 5-unit commercial building, and it scared me because I've never bought commercial before. But touring it, I saw there was a cigar shop in there with a tiny lounge in the back. And the other 4 units, there's 3 apartments up top, 3 residential, another commercial unit, and this is on Main Street in Medford. So I knew that the other 4 units had the potential of cash flowing the property, meaning it covered all the monthly expenses for it. So anything that happened in that other unit where the cigar shop was would be a bonus. So again, let's take a risk. So instead of it being a cigar shop, we made it one big lounge. And my idea was memberships, create a community. And yeah, the money from the memberships, that's great. For me, the value is the networking, the community feel, bringing in great people that I don't care. The difference between that cigar lounge, my cigar lounge, and another one is I don't care if you're a woman, man, whatever. I know a lot of them ban women. I think that's really dumb. And I don't care who you are, as long as you're an awesome person and you contribute to this community in some way, great, you're in. So it was just great because for me, like you said, this is a weird market, and I wanted to make sure my goal in real estate investing and everything that I do is to cover my monthly expenses. If you can think about it right now, to add up everything, how do you live normally? The Starbucks, all that crap, whatever you eat, whatever your monthly expenses, let's say it's $10,000 a month. What do I have to do to equal $10,000 a month? Once you get to that point, man, you're free. Now it's going to be a lot easier for you to take more of a risk. Yeah. So that's why I feel like a lot of entrepreneurs that make it to a point where investors that make it to a point where they're bringing in enough to they're feeling comfortable in that regard. Now those risks can get bigger. And now even if they fail, they know they're okay.
Yeah.
And so I'm fortunate because now I'm at a point where that is. So now I know the next thing I want to invest in, it's probably gonna be pretty big. I'm excited for whatever it ends up being.
Oh, I love that.
Can't wait to hear too.
Yeah, can't wait to hear about that. So let's go back to the branding side as well, because that's one thing I think that personally I feel like you do really well. So just share some like tips, like what is your strategy? Like what kind of goals do you have for it? What are you using the branding for? Do you have a team or are you doing it yourself? Like give us some of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah, I think that being deliberate in your strategy is key. At first I was just, again, reacting to the market, the news, and I would make a video trying to explain it in my way. And I did it on my webcam, and I made a lot of mistakes. But I think that there's a great book called I forget.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's about imperfect
action.
Imperfect action.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter of who cares, just take action.
Just do it. Yeah.
Everyone just lets fear, like they're so afraid to do it, like making excuses of why, just do it. So anyway, I started doing it. And then for the branding, I'm big on video, but I think that you can go on YouTube and a lot of great accounts and follow some really good people that are social media experts and branding experts. And again, read a few books. The Alex Hormozi, like I said, $100 million leads. He has $100 million brand, I believe, which is before that. You're going to learn and just write down your strategy. And the biggest thing is just be consistent with whatever you do. So if you say you're going to post, Gary Vee says post 6 pieces of content a day. Okay. Now, what does that mean? Well, I could do I could post I could tweet something or X something. What do we call it now? I don't know. I can X something, and then I can take that X and I can put it on my Instagram story, which then goes on my Facebook story. I can create a video. And the other thing I would say is there's so many great editors out there. There's some AI tools too that will edit for you. They'll get rid of all the spaces, the all that, and then they'll put captions on there. Like literally, I mean, AI is taking over the world. So if I would say that creating content and give it away for free, create as much great content and just put it out there in the ether. And I'm telling you, great things will come back to you. That's the key to branding, in my opinion.
Absolutely. I love that you said you kind of just take the news and you try to explain it to people. I had the pleasure of being at the Otho Davis Awards last week, and Sal Palantonio received the Dick Vermeil Lifetime Achievement Award. And at the end of his speech, he was like, I always approached my career as if I didn't work for the Eagles, I didn't work for the NFL. I worked for you, the fans. It was my job to articulate stories and things that I found out and share that with you. I think that's a lot of what it is. We overcomplicate a lot of times what, the content we put out has to be. And, you've taught me several things just sitting here. And it's because we asked the question, but you break it down into a way that now I can actually digest it and understand it, because I think we can all agree that the media out there just gives you a bunch of gray area stuff. And you're like, what the hell does that even mean? But nobody's there to explain it to you. And that's exactly the role that you're filling. And I believe that's why a lot of the value you're putting out there, which helps then perpetuate the brand.
Yeah, I think, the whole if it bleeds, it leads thing in the media. And for bleeding, I mean, negativity. There was a thing that Zillow came out with saying how it's going to take anywhere from 10 to 23 years to recoup your investment on a house these days because of how unaffordable it is. And if you read the article and look at the math that they did behind it, it's so fucked up and dumb that there's no way they have no idea even what they're talking about.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It was just to sell the headline. It get clicks.
Right.
And I think if you look, we have a highly political environment, highly opinionated environment right now. And, real estate's no different. So I just try to stay as middle of the road as I can and just try to call bullshit when I see it. So the reality is, if I took that, I'll just break it down. That one, they said Cleveland, Ohio was the worst place in the country to have appreciation. That was their worst performing place in the country. But even if you take that appreciation, which the forecast is like 2.5%, and you plug it in, the thing that they didn't realize was they're going to pay off that loan amortization.
Yeah, it's coming down.
It comes down.
Right.
The appreciation's still there. And when I did the calculation, your break even was actually 3 years,
right,
not 23 years.
Right.
So not to go into the math now, but that's an example of the media just like misleading people.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot of people in seats of position have no idea what they're talking about. I was watching a video the other day, and the oversight committee for
was this the APR one?
Yeah, the APR.
Yes,
and I was
that.
like, how? And the woman was doing everything she could to dodge the question. She was like, I forget, it was a Susie Porter or whoever. She was like, no, I wrote this book, so I know the math, and I'm going to tell you the math, and then I'm going to give you the simplest. What was it, $200 a month, $20?
Simplest explanation.
Yeah, and she couldn't answer it. And that is somebody who helps write legislature that then goes against us for all this credit card debt and things out there.
Yeah, it's crazy. Again, industry to industry is all different, but nothing gets regulated more, in my opinion, than the finance industry and real estate.
Yeah.
When you mess with somebody's house and you're contributing to them losing their home, it's bad for elections.
Yeah.
And it's just
for a lot of people.
It's bad for a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's why after 0809 happened, even though Wall Street, you ever watch The Big Short, you'll realize what happened there. But after that happened, they came out with Dodd-Frank. And now there's a lot of realtors that might be listening, and hopefully there's a lot of realtors. If there's realtors listening right now and you're worried about this NAR lawsuit, I just want you to remember something, that we in the mortgage world already went through this over a decade ago. After the 0809 crash, they came out with Dodd-Frank in a knee-jerk reaction in order to tame the mortgage world so that we never have that happen again. Yeah. And in doing so, they totally effed up the way that we get paid, the way that we do business. We had to rewrite our software, rewrite our process, but we did survive. Yeah. So I know that right now, we always laugh because realtors, even though you think that you're regulated, you're nowhere near.
Yeah, not lenders.
No, you're nowhere near. But regulation is good. I think that in the end, it's going to create a transparency with the buyers and sellers, and you're going to be able to explain it in the way that only you know how to explain. And I think ultimately it's going to lead to the agents that are doing things right right now. They're going to continue to grow and do well. Yeah. Agents that aren't doing it right and are trying to dupe and mislead their sellers anyway, they're out.
It's
going to weed them out.
I did see recently, side note, the actual guy from The Big Short, he just put like a $1.6 billion short against the S&P 500. So that's going to be very interesting for all of our pensions and 401ks and things.
So I'll give you some breaking news. I follow a guy named Barry Habib. Barry's like the GOAT of mortgage rates and tracking everything. And he has these recession indicators he loves to throw up on the screen. He does a daily update. And they were talking about how whenever the unemployment number bottoms out and goes up by 0.5%, within 2 months, there's a recession. And this is going back 60, 70 years. So we hit 3.4% unemployment not long ago. And last month, when we just had jobs numbers come out last week, we're now at 3.9%. So there's your 0.5%. So history will tell you that this winter, going into spring, we could see a recession. Now you might say, Matt, that goes against what you just said about how we're going to have this great spring. Well, for me, a great spring is low rates. And I think that recession is just a feeling. Let's be real. I mean, the technical term is the GDP is negative for what, two quarters in a row.
2 quarters, yeah.
Okay, great. But day to day, person to
It's not
person,
everybody, yeah.
what's it really doing to you?
Yeah.
We're going to see inflation's already coming down. Things are getting more affordable. Gas is more affordable. I'm telling you that, yes, the stock market might take a hit, but S&P, if you follow personal finance, I forget his name on Instagram, I follow a few people that love the S&P because historically it's going to give you a great return.
Yeah.
Even if we have a pullback, a recession
it'll
for
come back.
6 months,
Yeah.
it's going to come back. Don't.
Well, they
panic.
say, I don't know, what was it? Like 8 or there's a certain amount of times, like 8 or 12 times the return over the past 10 years, that day was like, say 125%. And then all the other days combined was like 10% or something like that. So it's just saying, keep it in there, let it keep going. Don't look at it like, all right, now's the recession, now's the time to buy. Like you can't track the market.
No, there's a great term called dollar cost averaging in. And this goes to crypto or anything else. You can't time the market.
Yeah.
You just can't do it. Just like buying a house. You're not going to time the market. With a house, this is where my family's growing up. This is the neighborhood I want to grow up in. I'm going to spend all my time.
Yep.
Why am I going to try to time that? That's your priority. Just get in there and the market will take care of itself.
Yeah.
With the recession and all that, I think that, again, we're going to see a pullback. If and when that happens, what's the Fed going to do?
Yeah.
Now they're going to start reducing
Lower
their
rates.
rates, lowering their rates.
Refi, baby.
and everybody sitting at a 7+% interest rate is going to have a really good opportunity to now save money. So they're already in a house that they can afford, right? Because they did what they're supposed to do. They got pre-approved early, right? So they got in there, but now they're going to have a chance to refi, and it's going to be good on all fronts for affordability.
Yeah. And to your point, then with that cash out refi, they can go ahead and buy more of the S&P.
Boom.
Because it's time in the market, not timing the market, right?
Right.
It's kind of
time in the market.
adage.
Yeah. Yeah. You buy a house now, 10 years down the line, it's going to appreciate.
Yeah.
Like, maybe not say 10 and a half months because that was a down market, but overall it'll. Yeah,
there's two big things I wish I would have done earlier. Was one, I wish I would have learned more about investing and taken more control of my money rather than just blindly putting it into a 401k, which you should do. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But at the time, my people, the companies I work for, never contributed. So I wish I would have learned about S&P investing and just dollar cost averaging in over the years. That, and I wish my first house would have been a multifamily.
Yeah, I think that's everybody. Every investor's like wanting to go back. I think that's like, or more rental properties, or I wish I bought more properties back in my 20s or whatever. Well, I feel like that's always,
Well, anybody listening, I had a moment of TikTok fame for about a week because I posted a video, which you never know what's going to go viral. But I said it's essentially that, and I wish I could go back. And I end up with almost 2 million views on the video. So it just shows, though, how involved people are with real estate and how they want to be there. They want to be an investor. And again, it's such a great hack because take advantage of your first-time home buyer status. If you go FHA, you can buy a 2 to 4 unit multifamily at 3.5% down. They just passed another rule that you can go 5% down conventional. Where if you're buying it as an investment property, it's 25% down to get the best rate. Yeah. So actually it has to be 25% down on a multi. So I'm just imploring people, don't level up yet. Don't go for that beautiful HGTV home yet. Go for we were talking before we went on air, go for the 2-unit, the 4-unit, the shitty house. I mean, it doesn't have to be that shitty, but the smaller,
Yeah, cash flows.
But it cash flows. I bought a 2-unit on Hartford Road or Mount Laurel, right around the corner from here. And I bought it. One's a 4-bedroom, one's a 2-bedroom. I net after expenses about $2,500 a month.
Nice.
Wow.
Right?
You got a mortgage on that too?
That's
in your expenses?
Yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
And I have a mortgage
flow.
on it. So what am I going to do with that house? Now I could have lived in the smaller unit and rented out, and I would have been making money every month.
Yeah.
Living there,
while living for free.
Yeah. So imagine that. I mean, everyone's complaining about the cost of rent and all that stuff. If you could even get a gift from family. You could get into that house. Don't look for this beautiful townhouse, new construction. I did the same thing. And in this video, I said that. I said it was an albatross around my neck. When I bought my house in 2006, which I didn't know at the time was the worst possible year.
Yeah. Actually, I remember this video.
Yeah.
That you posted. Yeah.
And I bought in 2006, and I was like, oh, I'm the man. I moved out of my mom's house. I'm like, this is awesome. And then 2 years later, I almost defaulted on the loan. I had at one point, I took a $5,000 advance on a credit card just to pay my monthly expenses that month while I was waiting for a loan to close to get a commission.
Paid on, yeah.
Wow.
And I almost got to a point where I was going to walk away from it and get a foreclosure against me or short sale. And instead I got through and I ended up renting that townhouse, and then I ended up almost paying it off, and I sold it and made some money. Nice. But I'm just imploring people, buy a 2 to 4 unit. You're going to thank me if you do. If you're really good, because right now I have 2 kids. You have what, 28?
86.
What,
Yeah. 4.
28.
How many kids do you have?
3.
There's a lot of kids around here. But before you have the kids, before you have the wife, the husband, the all the bullshit that comes along with it, buy that house. You only got to live in it a year. Technically, that's the contract you're signing at settlement. You live in it a year, and then you figure it out. What do you want to do? You could buy another multifamily after that as your primary. Another one.
Rent those others out.
So technically, by the time you are out of in 2 years, 3 years, again, you need to find the money for down payment. I get all that. You could technically have 8 units to your name before you buy that single family. And let's say they cash flow and things are looking great. Technically, then you could get into that single family and almost pay nothing and live for free with that cash flow.
Yep.
And I mean, I could sit here all day and talk about what to do with the cash flow. There's a lot of fun stuff we could do.
Oh, absolutely.
But just get that because it gives you the opportunity to do stuff.
Well, I'm going to tell you. And what did it allow me to do? It allowed me to build a house in Brigantine. So now I have an Airbnb. I have a 5-unit, 4,000 square foot house in Brigantine that's a block away from the beach. And I rent that. I get $8,000 a week.
Nice.
So I'm only talking numbers because I incrementally got there.
Yeah.
I wish I would have started earlier. And if I would have taken advantage of my first-time homebuyer status to buy the multi, man, I would have been way light years ahead of where I am right now. But I'm telling you guys out there, if you're listening, that's the best house hack. You buy the multi first. And then I know there's not a lot out there, but if you're prepared, you get pre-approved early. Notice a theme throughout the whole podcast. Know your numbers, get a game plan. You'll pull the trigger when it's right.
Love it.
Awesome.
I think we're officially to that time of the episode for your final question.
Yeah.
Ty.
So Matt,
Jerry's final thoughts.
Pretty much. Give us a mistake or adversity that you faced throughout your life, but really provided a great lesson and for you and something that the listeners can hear.
So I would say man, this is a tough question.
It always is. Trust me.
So many mistakes out there, right? I think that the biggest mistake that I made was, and I know it's tough, but when I was younger, I just didn't have the balls, let's put it that way, to make decisions for myself. And I depended on other people who didn't really know what they were talking about to kind of guide my life. So in all things, we're talking, personally and professionally. And I think because of that, I didn't trust myself. I didn't believe in myself enough. And a lot of people say, well, you seem like you have all the confidence in the world. Yeah. Well, now maybe. And even back then, the whole fake it till you make it, I definitely wanted to portray that. But in reality, I was scared. and I was unsure of myself, and I didn't speak up, and I didn't take control of my life and make the decisions and take those risks that I wanted to. I started off that way with the DJ company and all that. And then I think in the middle of it, when shit started getting hard and life started getting real, and I had responsibilities, I just think I froze up. And there was a good chunk of my life where I made some major mistakes, where I think that if I would have just been honest with myself and tuned myself, I think I would have worked it out a little bit better instead of trusting people to give me advice who probably I shouldn't have been listening to.
Love
awesome.
that. Seek counsel, not opinions. That's kind
Boom.
of, and trust yourself, right? Like,
Yeah.
but there was obviously things going on in your life that you hadn't built the confidence yet, that you had full faith in yourself. And, you know, the constant repetition through the years have obviously built the man we see today.
Yeah.
So the old Matty is definitely looking at you like, let's go. This guy, proud
This
of
guy
proud of what
Matthew,
you've built.
man.
This Matthew.
This
He's-
guy-
2.0.
Yeah. Love it, man. Well, we greatly appreciate you being on this episode
For
with us
sure.
today. Again, Maximus Mortgage Advisors. Something tells me you can get pre-approved. I know they have an app for that as well, so they can definitely help you with
Just
that.
go to maxloans.com.
Boom. There you go, friends. Let's get into this real estate game, get you into a comfy, cozy home. But as always, thank you for being here with us today, and make sure you have the best day ever.
Best day ever, fam.